that's all of the formalities. I just wanted to learn a little bit more about how you came to
the book. Okay, well, I grew up in a very hippie-ish family, I would say. Food was always part of bringing us together as a family. There was always more than just our family around the table. It was always a great joy to be eating. And it was always after a lot of kind of, I don't know if it's just hard work or just activity that food was eaten. You always felt very nourished around food. So fast forward to the end of high school, and I really did want to be in food somehow. But when I left high school, I really only thought there was one avenue there, and that was being a chef, a caterer, a commercial kitchen, something like that. I tried it and hated it, and it may have been part of my mentor might have been part of that reason. It was a 90s cafe scenario. You know, a very cranky, lonely chef was guiding me, and it just didn't seem appealing at all. And it was taking a lot of the joy out of it. This is way before open kitchens where you get to cook in front of people, and way before the rebirth of a wood fire where you actually get to smell lovely things cooking. It was all stuck in the back, and you only ever heard if something was really bad, you know, like, we're sending this back. You know, you never really, waiters couldn't be bothered passing on compliments to the chef. That was a kind of token thing. So I didn't really feel like, for me, I get a huge endorphin rush out of seeing people eat, particularly my food, if it's good. So, you know, being able to spend time cooking and preparing food and then eating with people is more of a pleasure to me than anything else in the world. So I very quickly left my chef's apprenticeship, and I started working conveniently in my family chef's supply store, which was a Sydney institution, still is, Chef's Warehouse. It's a brilliant place to go. Started working there and kind of meeting a whole bunch of chefs. Still, my mind wasn't changed, but it was there that I met the incredible Donna Hay, and we became fast friends. And I think it may have been over an argument with my sister about leaving a tea bag in the sink that my mum came in to dissolve the argument. And she said, you know, she looked at my sister and said, "Charlotte, just clean up. What's wrong with you?" And then she looked at me and she said, "And you, keep your shirt on. What do you want to do? Live in a magazine?" And I was like, yes, I do. So I quickly turned my friendship with Donna into a kind of more a smoother pathway for myself, and offered to work with her just for free whenever I could. And then, you know, I think it might have been over a moment of having
for her series. What she
so this was so early on. This would have been Donna Hay magazine, issue 4 of her magazine. So that,
which came first, the magazine or the book?
She did books for years with Murdoch, and then she kind of went out on her own and kept producing books. I mean, I think she's up to publishing and punching out one a year with effortlessness. And so I came in at very early days of the magazine and just basically trained under her. So that for me was huge. And I think I went freelance after we did the Welcome to Sydney Oprah party. Her and I styled that, which was an incredible moment. And then it was one, though, that she couldn't promise me again, that kind of experience. And it was one that I was hungry for. So I left to kind of have a few more experiences. This is after I'd been there for about 10 years. Started a whole new collaborative relationship with someone else. And we did Australian Fashion Week, and we did all this really great stuff. You know, we had a wallpaper range and a paint range and all this amazing stuff. But I was drifting further and further away from food, and I could feel it tugging me back. So I departed that business relationship, not the friendship, but the business relationship, and went back to food and started styling food again, and realized that that's just where my natural creativity just leached out. And then eventually, when my youngest child was born, she's now 4, I was noticing that if ever I put anything food related from my kitchen on my work Instagram account, people were responding to it very quickly. Just kind of knowing that I'm a full-time working mum. What are you doing? How are we knocking this into the oven? Is this what we're prepping? And it was a separate thing. It wasn't my work. So I thought, you know what, let's have this little pin board. Yeah. Let's have a pin board we can all just go to. That's just simply food. It's not me in my flashy shoes. It's not me in, you know, this interior thing I've styled. It's not these plates. It's just literally food. Very uncomplicated. And it also became a space where I could offload and talk a little trash about my day or my family. They have only just started following me, so I have to watch it now. But I think a lot of people related and found a sense of comfort that it wasn't going to suddenly throw in a, you know, throw a curveball or a sidebar. It's like anything. It's just food. That's just what it is. And I really loved it. It really became my kind of outlet at the end of the day.
So you started the Instagram as a bit of a creative outlet for yourself.
Literally a Pinterest board, it's like a pin board on Instagram, and something where I could actually refer back to and go, what was that thing? There it is. I've got to make that again.
And you don't make recipes, though.
Well, it's a kind of, as it's been described, an Instagram account for people who don't like recipes. It's a bit food porn. There's a slapdash method thrown in there occasionally. Obviously now quite a few of them do have recipes, and I get frustrated if I post something and don't have a little bit of an indication of what I've done, because I come and think, oh, it's amazing. What do I do there? So I have actually started to try and make a few more notes, because I find I'm pretty good ad-libbing cooking, and then, you know, if I try and go back and recreate something, bits and bits and bits. I wouldn't be very good if I had a ticking clock in the background, like a MasterChef clock. Like the idea of competition, reality TV would just, I'd melt on the floor. That's not my person.
So much awe of people who just look in the fridge and go, oh yeah, I'll have to like get the recipe. So this is for me.
Well, I think the thing is that like anything, you learn to break down the palettes that you like. So whether it's color, whether it's what you love in taste bud, like, so I don't mindlessly eat. I'm quite conscious of whatever I consume, even if it's a hash brown at 10 a.m, because it is something that I'm craving and nurturing, and I actually just engage in that in that whatever I'm wanting, you know, and try and listen to that. Sometimes I know the advice that my mind is giving my body's not the best, but I do try and listen to it, and I do try and work out what that is that I'm attracted to in that moment. So whether it's a bowl of cheesy oozy pasta or a really clean kind of sparkling soup or something.
How do you blend your wants with your family's wants?
What's that magic? Suffer or get on board stuff. Well, I think, look, it's a bit of give and take. I like to say that they eat everything, but they don't. And I really do believe I have this kind of feeling around food. My mum was very healthy. She grew almost everything in a garden. She used to turn up to school with a homemade egg wash treatment in her, egg yolk treatment in her hair. It was kind of setting. Like, it was just like, there was no kind of store-bought products. And so my knee-jerk reaction to that was really to crave a lot of like fast foody stuff and convenience meals, like 2-minute noodles, that kind of stuff. I love. But one of the things that I have for me, which I feel very fortunate about, is I feel very envious of anyone that loves something that I don't love. So if someone just thinks, oh my God, chicken feet or oysters. It took me a while to come around to oysters, but I like to kind of, you know, I see that love and I see that consumption and I feel envious. So I go into a bit of training. So I start having them fried or cooked or other ways that I can start to, yeah, just try and find a way. And then as soon as I can find a way to really enjoy them, I know that I can start paring that back. It's like having your first coffee. When you're a teenager, you know you're going to get into it at some point. You know you're going to like it. The first couple of coffees you have is probably loaded with either cocoa or a bit of sugar, you know, big fat cappuccino, and then you compare it back and, you know, now I'm in a long black, no sugar. So it's pretty much like that. But yeah, I think.
When you cook, it's mostly for yourself. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah, selfish. Yes, exactly. It is. I am very selfishly motivated when it comes to cooking, but it's one of those things that nurtures the entire family. So I kind of feel like it's a win-win. And, you know, I don't know who is luckier or more fortunate, but I do think that we're having this discussion just outside about a Thermomix, and I don't have anything against any brands or any innovation. I think whatever you need to cook or produce the nourishing stuff for your family, fantastic. However, would I get a Thermomix? Probably not, because the most lovely process for me is cutting of an onion. You know, I could get home after a really stressful day, albeit food styling or food prepping or shooting something, and I might have been in a kitchen all day. But, you know, getting home, pouring a glass of wine, taking my bra off, cutting an onion, I am wound down, like happiness. And people will walk past the kitchen and know I'm cooking for the family. So I can kind of have that air of I'm doing jobs, but also secretly, this is totally insane. So I really enjoy it. And I, you know, it is selfish, but it's also.
And I think that's what comes out in your
selfishness.
Not the self, sorry.
No, I know what you mean. No, the enjoyment. Yeah, there's a lot of joy. There's a lot of joy.
Creative outlet.
Yeah, it really is. And look, there's two types of cooking for me. There's cooking to relax, and then there's cooking for adventure. And cooking for adventure for me is what began my, you know, this is what drew me into cooking. So I would probably read up a Kylie Kwong recipe or anyone's great recipe and think that I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to go hardcore into that, and I'm going to follow every step. And that kind of cooking by exact process is such a nice treat, because it's really getting to understand that person's flavor palette, not yours. It's getting to understand that person's flavor palette, but along the way you can learn about your own. So I think that's one of the things I say at the end of my intro, is that all recipes really are subjective. There's no, this is the right way. Yeah, exactly. Like some people like dry cake, some people like wet cake, some people like salty. So I do find there's a lot of dictatorship in cooking, especially nowadays, and especially with all these like competition on TV, where it's like, you've won this because these 3 people think this tastes good. But cooking is all subjective. So really, I think the nice thing, it's an art form. You can't explain why you're drawn to any one artwork or any one piece of music. It taps into you. So I think the nice thing about cooking that people should remember, go on an adventure, of course, but never ignore the things that you're drawn to cooking or that make you feel calm and happy. And whether it's lemon zest or sugar or butter or extra greens, or, you know, those things that actually speak to you without you actually thinking about it, is where you should continue to massage your talents in the kitchen. And it can become more relaxing that way.
Are your kids starting to get that adventure, or is it like, no, the kitchen's fine out?
I'm a bit mixed about it. Some of them show, like, I've got 3 children. I just had this conversation with my 15-year-old son this afternoon about convenience foods, and, you know, because he's 15 and he's just, I mean, I really feel like I should just be buying bags of kibble and getting a trough at this stage, because what goes in is just insane. I mean, I can walk past, like, you know, a few fried bits of chicken and I'm wearing it for another month, whereas he shovels it in by the kilo and it shows up nowhere. But I'm trying to express to him that convenience foods, I don't know, they're not great. And he's like, yeah, but I just need to eat it. So his connection to food is obviously being fed. He's always eaten really well. He will eat whatever was put in front of him. The other 2 younger ones are a lot more stubborn. However, their interest in the cooking process is much greater. So they'll get into the kitchen. Yeah.
Refuses to eat some foods unless he's cooking with me.
Yeah, it's incredible. So that kind of you make it, you're likely to eat it, is a great part of what I do. So even if it's down to deconstructing something and making it a, you know, DIY your own plate, it is a nice thing to do.
And there's
lots of things in there. Lots of things in there. Yeah, there's a lot of eating with hands. There's a lot of DIY your own plate. Again, I mean, you know, yes, the ratio to veggie to carbs to proteins needs to be controlled by the adult, but, you know, shoving things in for the sake of getting a vegetable in, like my kids, cucumbers, I need to invest in I need to kind of buy into a farm, because our cucumber ratio has just, I mean, we started broccoli, so it's kind of gone down from 75 cucumbers a week. We've now up the broccoli, and I can buy about 32 cucumbers, because I just know that they're getting something and they're eating green. So while that's their thing, that's their thing. And I just hope that envy will kick in soon while I sit here groaning and moaning deliciously about a kale or something. I'm sure it will. I'm sure they'll be that curious at some point too.
And so one of the very obvious themes that runs through your work and your recipes is sustainability.
Yeah.
And eating sustainably. Where does that come from?
Well, I suppose growing up on a farm. So we did grow up on a little hobby farm in the Hunter Valley. Like I said, Mum grew so much stuff. We would eat seasonally, you know. What's that? I've got a black thumb, so I can't. I have tried. Plus, I've got a rabbit now, and it's just like, it's like anything that grows becomes a buffet. Although he hates sorrel and chives, they seem to flourish, which are 2 of my favorite things anyway. So I'm happy about that. But I try to stay seasonal with my shopping. I try to remind myself that something on special can be great because it's in season, but it's also just nice to be aware of why it's on special. So if it isn't in season, is it because of something else? I mean, I don't know if anyone's had basil outside of summer these days, but it tastes like some kind of weird licorice drop. It's just like not basil. It's just not. But we do have the luxury of having all these things at our reach. So, sustainability is a really, it's quite a deep pond to dive into. But I think just being conscious of how you shop will lead you to a sustainable area anyway. So how you shop and then how you deal with your waste can be the two biggest things. So like for me, I am very focused on shopping locally. I obviously have to use the big giants because I've got limited time and shopping sometimes needs to be done from a cart. But being able to go and speak, I'm very good friends with my butcher. I am very good for being local. Peter's Meats, he is just a legend. The boys down there are legends. Yeah, at Maroubra, he's brilliant. I will, yeah, it's so great. I will sometimes go down there for nothing. I'll just walk past and end up having a chat to him about 1,000 things other than, it's just really great to know. I think one of the biggest things that, and same with the fish shop straight across the way, Maroubra, the fish market at Maroubra. Maroubra is incredible. Like we actually have such an incredible little environment to shop in. We have Harris Farm downstairs here, which is very bougie, but fab. You know, if you really, when I'm doing shopping for photo shoots and stuff, it's great to be able to go there and know that they've got some really premium stuff that I can put into a shot. But a lot of my stuff I do get done at Pacific Square, which is not overly gentrified. It's a fantastic little hub. There's their Continental Deli down there. They slice all their meats to order, which just blows me away. They've got nitrate-free ham. They've got like just things you don't even think about looking for when you're convenience shopping. Do you know, just the fruit market there is fantastic. It's a brilliant little hub. It's just, I can't talk about it enough. What's the French breads? I buy one of those just for the shop, like 2 baguettes, one to, like a cabanossi. You know, when you were little and you get a cabanossi at the supermarket, your mum would shove you a Twiggy stick. For me, I've graduated to an entire baguette for the shop. 2 baguettes. Anyway, so that, you know, getting to know your local hub, I think, is extremely important, especially small. Like, what chance have they had? What chance a small family and local had? They've brutalized. So I do think getting to know your local is important, but also the back end of that, which I can't believe we're only just coming around to, which is how you dispose of everything. So Randwick Council, we're so lucky we've got the FOGO bins. We actually, as soon as we installed got our FOGO bin, we did have a compost, but it was more a rat buffet at our house. we were, but because my gardening wasn't up to scratch, it literally became like a you know, continental buffet situation for rats. It was great. They dug in a back entry and just had full access. Yeah. Well, see, okay, so this is my thing. I was going to get a cat, and then I didn't know if I wanted to clean up another meat eater's waste in the house. I already had a dog and 4 human. I don't know how many I have to clean up after. Yeah, they're very clean. Oh, really? After a dog, yeah. So, well, we ended up with a rabbit, and he's pretty great. His name's Rip. Yeah, his name's Rip. He's a mini rabbit. He lives really free range. He just in and out of the house, and yeah, he has a deck inside the house with a basket and a pillow, and he's pretty relaxed. He's pretty funny. But so once the FOGO came, and the brilliant thing with the FOGO is that it gives you the ability to deal with a whole bunch of waste that we didn't really know how to deal with, which is, you know, well, if you do have a dog poo, but also bones and meat, and also all those greasy cardboard boxes that come with pizza or something like that. So now our bin, our like general waste bin is so small. We had a normal one, but it kept getting maggots in it because we weren't taking it out enough because it was just never getting full. So now our general waste bin's the smallest bin in the house. We're very lucky. I don't think all councils have the FOGO yet. No, and it's just so good. It's honestly so good. Yeah, and we take all our soft plastics out. It's just great. So yes, sustainability is a huge part of our family life. And we just, you know, it's really great. Our kids are quite diligent about it.
Apart from, you know, separating waste and disposing of things properly. Do you do you try cook root to tip or nose to tail, or is that?
Yeah, absolutely. I try and do, I mean, there's so many things that you can do with an old floppy carrot or the carrot tops. Almost anything green can be either blitzed into a pesto or turned into the guts of a super greens pie.
The slurry and butter.
Oh, it's just like, the slurry and the butter. So you can just puree it with some garlic and mash it through some butter. There's just so many things. I mean, one of the best people to keep your eye on is the guys from Cornersmith and their book Use It All. And their Instagram account's incredibly funny because they do like Waste Not Wednesday. And it's actually, instead of being this high pressure situation where you have to use root to tip, they actually just, I want to say dumb it down, but I think it's just more simplify and make it approachable and a bit more relaxed and fun, and not this kind of, I have to use everything, and whatever I don't cook, I need to rub them on the soles of my feet, or I don't know. So there is definitely, I do try and do that. I also try to avoid things with numbers, mainly because I don't know enough about numbers on an ingredients pack. So if there's something that my husband might have picked up as a marinade or something, I tend to read it, even take a photo of it, and just by way of working out whatever's listed first until I get to the number section, I try and mix it up myself. And it's never really exactly perfect, but it actually does get you a lot of the way. And it's a really good actually exercise to do with kids too. So if you give them a list of ingredients, it's mostly this, then this, then this, then this, whether it be a satay or something, it's actually kind of nice thing for them to understand that's how ingredients work on the back of a pack. And then let's stop at the numbers and see what it all means. Yeah.
I bought something that I thought was healthy, and then someone educated me into the ingredients. I was like, oh, I was eating MSG.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
No, exactly. I mean, look, yeah.
What about sustainability on jobs, like photo shoots and styling jobs? How can you manage that?
It is very difficult. It is very difficult, especially advertising, when you get so much stuff in and you have to make something look beautiful. So you have this excess of product, and you're looking at things like that bun is not perfect. Let's go to the next bun. Let's go to the next bun. Actually, I don't do that because I like eating everything. So I'm a very our water and olive oil is literally all that goes on. I'm too prone to just putting it in my mouth before thinking about what I've sprayed on it. So I keep it really natural. There's an incredible woman, Rachel, who has a pantry called Pantry for the People out here. And she's just out she's in, what do I say, Botany? Is it Botany? And so she lives kind of across the street. So whenever I have a huge amount of stuff that's come off a shoot, I can call her and say, I'm heading over. This stuff's bagged. This stuff's open. And she trusts the people that are, I think with the bigger things like Oz Harvest. So if I'm doing a big advertising shoot, I can call them and say, I've got 80 lettuces. They've been in the fridge all day. Come and pick them up. And they will. And they know what to do with 80 lettuces, but they don't know what to do with one. Yeah. So I can call Rachel, and if I've used a lot of fruit on a set, and I can drop that straight to her, and she packages that up straight away and takes it immediately to 4 or 5 families that, kids, single moms, whatever, and she distributes that. And then anything packaged she can put in the pantry. So it's a free pantry. And then, so it's a really great, it's called Pantry for the People. And she's won a bunch of community awards, and she's done some really, and she's just really great. Like she prefer you show up with something, even if it's open, so she can work out if she can jar it or if she can make something for families out of it. So she's just, yeah, she's absolutely incredible. So there's that. And then, you know, we have recycling, the rudimentary recycling in our building, where we do most of our photo shoots, but then I just end up bringing a lot of the compostable stuff home to go in the go in the green bin. So it's actually kind of, we're getting there. It's a lot less ugly than it was. I think events are probably the devils. But, you know, as far as photo shoots going, there's a lot more consciousness about it and there's a lot more awareness. So, you know, there's not much that actually does go. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we do. And I think our teams are very small. It's all very face to face. It's not a kind of blind environment where you just chuck it in the bin. I don't need to think about it. It is a quite rather small community, the food media industry. And I think that we've seen enough of it to be repulsed by it. So it is really nice to see smaller change. A lot of bigger things can't change because the decisions are being made from the top, and it just comes down to numbers and it comes down to other things. Sustainability is not the priority, but in my industry, it is. So it's nice. It's great.
So just on this book, like you were just giving practical ideas for different days of the week. Why different days? What was that?
Well, every night of the week, someone's always doing it, right? Someone is always doing it, and it's just. And there is a momentum to the week. So whether or not your week, your high energy day is a Monday or whether it's a Wednesday, we all have this kind of ebb and flow where we begin our 7-day cycle and kind of just jump into it and try and kind of start with vigor and start with momentum and whip that horse straight out of the gates. But if it's me by Wednesday, I'm like looking around like, where are my teammates? The plays aren't going down right. Nothing's happening correctly. Everyone's lost socks and it's horrible. And then, Thursday, you're just happy to, get some kind of food out on the bench. I don't think there's any, in saying all of this about sustainability and also, not doing numbers and yada, 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 there is absolutely there's no trauma that can occur by going, kids, you're eating baked beans or 2-minute noodles tonight. I mean, 100%, I've gone that way. I'm not going to write a recipe because there's no need for a can opener, can opener only recipe, but it's there. I think it should just be inspiration. It should just be inspiration. And there should be an ease of mind when it comes to cooking, and there should certainly be a lot of laughter, and there should be a lot of internal joy, primarily selfishness, number one, and then also kind of the satisfaction of just knowing that you've applied some effort, and whether or not it's turned that it's been palmed or not, you can only
the things that you can really see. I didn't know you were from the country, but your food is very rustic and beautiful.
Hearty.
From the country as well.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this all appeals to me.
Yeah.
Do you do a lot of batch cooking, or do you?
Well, I do now, but it all gets eaten in one batch. I rarely roast more. I rarely roast. I'm always roasting 2 chickens. Like there's never just a 1 chicken roast.
And there's lots of tips in here about how to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm a big preparation person, so and it's a pain in the ass, but it actually really helps during the week. So when my husband gets home, I send him to do the hunting and gathering because I go a little AWOL and completely off the list. Because it's exciting. It's like kind of go, yeah, of course we need crepes. I've got to make crepes this week. It's not even on the agenda. However, I send him, and I like to turn my phone off when he's at the supermarket because he'll start looking. I like to throw in a random thing like galangal or something. He's like, what the? Like, you've got a phone, mate. Use it. You can Google. or a Boreo or something. So I'll throw in a random ingredient quite often for him.
Just for fun.
Yeah, just for fun. It's totally fun. And then just watch the phone light up. So he does the hunting and gathering, but it's kind of nice to have that shared experience in the process, because quite often the person who cooks does the supermarket shopping as well. And it's a huge thing. Like,
Does he ever come home with the thing that you didn't want?
no, sometimes he'll come home with a soggy, like something that I'm like, it shouldn't be on the shelf and he shouldn't have bought it. I'm like, what is this? Like a tyrant. This beans are wilty. No, it's not that. But he'll come home with he pretty much comes home with everything. Like he's pretty.
He's got it.
Yeah, he's pretty.
Is he always that way, or is it just
No,
that
he's
way?
always that way. He is like, that's him. And as soon as I knew he was a list checker, I was like, here's your list. But when he does come home, I like to go through everything. I mean, you think about herbs or any produce, it's come from farmer to truck to sorting room to packing to truck again to refrigeration to supermarket to on the shelf. Like, it's a long journey. Like, I've seen what I look like from Sydney to LA, and I need a soak and a refresh quick. So I think of that, and I do, like, I kind of take everything out of all that plastic crap and get rid of that as quickly as possible. Give everything a rinse and a trim like you would with flowers, and then wrap it in some paper towel and store it in a box. So I kind of, it's nice, but you also get to really, I mean, I do this where I write a list and then I forget what I've got. So unless I do that moment, I forget.
Yeah.
I also do the same with meat. So I'll unpackage it and I'll put it into boxes, just kind of, again, big journey. You don't know how far that's been. And it's just nice to actually, I mean, vacuum packing is probably something I wouldn't tamper with because of how long you can of a shelf life meat has is quite incredible with vacuum packing. That's probably one of the most sustainable things about vacuum packing, is that actually it preserves the life for so long. But yeah, it gives me a chance to kind of sort through things. And then if I already know in my mind that we've got some chops on Thursday that I want a tandoori with, I chuck it on then and I put it in a container or a bag or something, and I put it in the freezer, and then that's going to come out, Wednesday night. So it's just that kind of prep for me really helps. I mean, our kids are institutionalized from 7 a.m. till 6 p.m. if we need them to be, because we both work full time. So there's morning and after school care, there's long day care. It's pick up, get home, and ram those nutrients in, so it is about preparation for me. I mean, I'm very envious of my neighbor she'll drop her kids at school and then come home and prep dinner. I'm like, what a situation. So nice.
So I thought you prep at lunchtime because you post the ingredients at lunchtime.
Well, no, I have to admit. So when I started, it was every night. That's what I was doing. However, what I was finding is that any quality time within the few hours that I had with my family was spent like this, replying to someone on Instagram, or I've just got to write something funny. You were funny earlier. So I realize, I do have a backlog. It's usually what I posted tonight, we ate last night.
Not real time.
No, it's not real. It's real time with a delay, which is good for profanity reasons, for bleeping. No, it is. There's a lot of realness in there, and there is definitely a time balance. But it is. I posted a day or two later.
Favorite ingredient that you're like right now that's in season? Is there something that's like really enjoying?
Such a good question. I'm always mad for herbs. I feel like that's always on my list, and I regret buying things that are a bit out of season, but they are always on my list. I don't buy basil. Basil used to be on my list all the time, but it's a summer thing. It just is a summer thing. I think the other ones are pretty fine. I just found out I was allergic to potatoes, which is devastating. It's only mild. I don't think I have to take it too seriously, but like potatoes and gravy, I don't. Neither did I. I don't even think it's real. I don't know, but apparently gluten's fine, so I'm that person. I'll have all the gluten, no potatoes. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. What's a favorite?
Just right, like what's in season? What's calling to you at the moment? What's in your pantry?
What the hell is in season? What is in my pantry? We're going through a lot of broccolini at the moment and asparagus. It's probably not in season, I'm not too sure, but I am seeing that, and you know, you can. Broccolini, I used to think was so overrated. I actually think I had an argument with Adam Liao about it years ago.
And how did that
Hope
go?
he's not watching. He's probably tuned in. That's what he's like. He's always watching. Hi, Adam. No, but it was kind of one of those vegetables that just like burst onto the scene, like kind of how cauliflower's had its like massive glow up. I mean, what can't that vegetable do? Honestly, it's ridiculous. Pizza bases. Anyway, the broccolini burst onto the scene, and just everyone was using it all the time. And I just thought, this is like, it's being a bit pushy. Anyway, I've since come around. I love broccolini. Broccolini. It's a great crunchy thing, and I think there's nothing better than it in the pan. One of the things I quite like doing now is skipping the steaming process of most vegetables, and I do a lot of roasting or sauteing straight in the pan. So you quite often get that little bit of restaurant burn or char, which we've craved for years but never known how they do it. And it's honestly just to give your veg a quick wash, trim it down, get it in the pan with some hot oil and let it kind of sit there so you know it's catching a bit. Toss it around, throw in some garlic. If you're feeling like the veggie is a bit thicker, like it does need a little bit of tenderness, like a broccolini or bigger chunks of broccoli, then I might just tip in a splash of water just so the steam comes up through it, and then toss it a bit more, grate some palmy on it and some lemon zest. And I am happy. I am happy as with that. So yeah, that's probably one of my faves at the moment.
So this is your first book, right?
First book. I start shooting book number 2 on Monday. And I'm really, really excited about it because it's vegetarian, which if you like know much of me, I'm a complete meat fiend. I love meat. But I also think that I do it where I think there's sausages in the freezer. What will I make with that? Let's get those sausage out and cook. What can I cook with that? Meanwhile, I've got this beautiful cauliflower or bunch of, silver beet wilting away that can't be frozen, that was perky as 2 days ago, but I'm prioritizing the meat as what I'm going to base. And I just think it's kind of, I'm always going to cook meat, or like I'm married to a sheep farmer, for goodness sake, Imagine I said we're veggie and then vegan and then, no more potatoes. My goodness. Anyway, so it's just been a really great exercise for me to kind of discover things that are delicious, oozy, sumptuous, and kind of, have you wrapped immediately, but aren't meat based.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about shooting it. I'm excited about the ideas I've got, the names. I've got one of my recipes is called Angry Eggs and Bouncers. So that's a good one. Yeah, there's a private artichoke. So, all the fun and play with food will be in there. And I did try and convince my publisher to have a sealed meat section. However, the vegetarians of the world who are not chill, who are very serious about why they're vegetarian for animal rights and animal cruelty. Jamie, who works for me, she's vegetarian because she loves animals. So is it, you know, there are people who will be sincerely offended if I had a sealed meat section in a vegetarian book. So we'll just might do a QR code into the saucy side of things. I don't know. And because I would really like to still be able to explain that put your effort into this salad, throw that flattened chicken on the barbie, ignore that, focus here. Because, you know, that's often where a lot of the flavor comes from, aside from all the fat, which is what I'm into. Anyway, yes, so vegetarian. The vegetarian every night of the week starts next week.
You're starting shooting, when do you hope to have it on the show?
April. So Mother's Day this time in a year. Yeah, I know, it seems so long, doesn't it? It takes once I've delivered everything, it takes 6 months for printing and pre-press and me to cry about the cover not being right. Yeah, it's a big thing. Yeah, it is. I cried about that one when they sent me that one. I cried. I was so, no, I cried bad reasons, but then I'm a complete roller coaster of emotions generally. So if I go down first, I'm always going to come up. So it's a good sign. Yeah. It's because initially I wanted a navy book. I wanted a strong book. I wanted a masculine book. I wanted a book that kind of had a bit more punch to it. But we went through so many colors, and, you know, that, as my publisher reminded me, the punch and the grunt comes in the words. The pretty can come in the visual.
I love the colour.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Like, so my mum won't finish, does making things upside
Yep.
and everything. So she'll always find me in the book section.
Yep.
Secondhand cookbooks, new cookbooks,
Oh.
anything. And I find a lot of the dark ones that don't reach as much.
You don't gravitate to.
Yeah,
That's
so
what she said. That's what my
I
publisher said.
At like the garage sale, even like from friends.
Yep.
One was like an ABC food one that I
Yep.
donated.
Yeah.
Because it's to use it, or I'll take a photo and have
Mm.
downside.
Mm.
So, you know, it's just that thing. But I love having a book in my hand, and I love that.
Yeah.
This feels
Yeah.
like you. Like if it's
Yeah.
Isn't it so fun? So many people say that, and that just actually makes my heart sing knowing that. I just got,
It's not a threat. You're
no,
excited
it's
about
not.
it. You're like,
It
"Oh,
is, and it's fun. It is very fun. The gold's great. I mean, once they showed me the gold, I was like, oh, salt. Sparkles, great. I like it. No, I didn't see it because you can't see gold leaf on a like on a. Yeah, I know. I'm moody. Yeah, we'll do that every night of the week, moody. Yeah, midnight of the week. Oh, that's a good one. Might take that. Yeah. Yeah.
was vegetarian a request from readers or from the editors?
The vegetarian. My publisher came to me and she said, so do you think you could do vegetarian? I was like, yes. Like, what, is that a dare? I'm basically doing a talk with nibbles and nipples, and well, I don't know if anyone knows that bit about the nipples. I did a post. This is how rowdy library events are. I did a shout out about this event on my stories, and as you should now do, closed captioned for inclusivity, and however I pronounce things, which obviously badly, I promised everyone nipples. Wine and nipples. It's this event. So then I had to clear it up and say, but these library events are nuts. So
There are quite a few.
yeah, there are quite a few nipples. There's a lot of nipples. A lot of nipples. Yeah, they don't. Actually, my two youngest, they're actually quite proud of, because I've seen the book in stores. So they went in with my husband, did a lot of rearranging of book displays. Hunt Centre. And so they're quite, they're quite proud of it. They're quite proud of it. My 15-year-old, no, not so much. He just happily consumes almost anything. Whereas the other two will love to get involved. As soon as there's anything So I have that. I taught them how to peel carrots the other day. So now they're really into that. Like they will peel a carrot and eat their carrot. It's so weird. Like, here, have a carrot. No, thanks. No, yeah, I hate carrots. Do you want to learn how to peel? Yes. Peel a carrot, eat the carrot.
Side question to Jen, do you ever just leave the peel on?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I
right.
absolutely. But if they're going to eat the carrot because they've peeled it,
Yeah.
then I don't peel everything.
And give it
Peel
to
a banana with it. I don't do anything. Just go peeling anything. Fine. So yeah, they show a bit of interest, and I think I have to get a little bit more generous with the space that is so my space, and kind of embody what I'm preaching a bit more and encourage that, because I mean, I grew up on this farm and I would come home from school. My son was actually challenging me on whether or not we ate the same amount of food growing up. He's like, wait a minute, there's no way you ate as much as I did. And I was like, 100%. I would come home. 2-minute noodles. I love 2-minute noodles. It was one of the crap things that were in our house. I could eat a serious amount of 2-minute noodles, but I'd also get home and grab eggs and make meringues. So often. They're just chewy, sticky, not perfect, but they were so good. And I used to just make these all the time. And so I don't know, like if we had a hand beater like this and I just, I don't even remember whether it was, but I just remember that was one of the things I made all the time. And I just think if my kids find one thing they can make on repeat with confidence, I'm happy. And then if they want to do more, they can,
So first question, what are the modern food practices that really make you cry?
Cry good, cry bad.
Cry bad.
Oh, just so much.
Like keep it short.
I want to swear right now, because there's just so much overcomplication with food. I think that it was so me, but I think food science is incredible, except I just have no interest in it in terms of that kind of jellified, foamed, smoking stuff. Look, I say that because I probably don't go to those restaurants. I've got a mum of 3, and I'm pretty much my food indulgences are very much at home. Do you know, like I don't like restaurants are extreme luxury. So I say that from a distance and probably a little bit of envy, but it's not something that I don't know. I just don't see the beauty of it. I do love seeing this return to like beastie food at MasterChef. I like seeing that kind of, I accidentally flicked onto it the other day. I'm not a massive like reality TV thing. So probably that's a thing. Reality TV around food makes me shriek. So it's nice seeing a bit more real rustic stuff come back in there, and a little less of the, yes, just keeping it real, I think is nice. And I just think it's just, I don't know, why should it be so austere? Why should it be in this kind of cloud of you can't achieve this? I do look, I think there's time and place, but I don't ever veer that way. So whether I cry about it or not, I don't know. But
The styling is very natural.
yeah, I think there's a real beauty to what food does naturally, even if it's like raw meat or, I mean, obviously we've all kind of latched onto that food porn type of thing where there's the oozing yolk or the pulling of the cheese and that type of stuff. But for me, that extends into the reality of raw foods as well, like a raw meat, or I don't think there is an ugly natural food. I just think that ugly, that deliciousness is really there. And I think once you veer so far away from a food that you don't recognize it, it's not appealing to me, yeah.
And if I could be so bold with the second question.
Go for it.
When you started like 5 years ago,
yeah,
you said that you worked in the kitchen, there was out the back with the angry chef.
Yeah.
We've kind of evolved a little bit.
Oh, so much.
What's the next evolution of cafes?
Ooh, do you know, I was talking to someone about this just recently, and I can't say who they are, but they're pretty incredible. They're an incredible chef. I think that the evolution that we've seen from back then was, you know, the angry chef who probably ate pretty shitty meals because the time schedule was pretty bad. The closed kitchens, the isolation from creator to consumer. It's really lovely to see that on a broad spectrum, especially with, I mean, look, even supermarkets doing interviews with the growers and kind of highlighting where produce is coming from, I think is a great step. I think cafe culture itself, we're just incredibly lucky here in Sydney anyway. We take the world by storm. I think what we're starting to see now is a resurgence in convenience foods. However, for me, I'm rather conflicted about the convenience foods that remove ownership of you cooking, but also create an excess amount of packaging. So I feel like this convenience food world will grow. But I think the quality and the consideration of how it gets there will be the next step in what it actually, where it ends up. So, you know, we all know our favorite cafe to go to have a really beautiful Buddha bowl or a nutritious lunch or the best sandwich. But cut to dinner, it's not great for you. You know, like if you really want great quality food, you've got to go to the restaurant, and a lot of takeaway food doesn't match that. There's a lot of great fast food. I mean, we can always get an awesome burger or something like that, but being able to dial up a really great food service that's healthy and actually has a kind of conscious idea about the environment and how they produce their food hasn't yet taken off. However, it's all there. Everything is just in its bubbling stages. You know, you go to the I do. I think in America it is. I think you can go to pretty much not so much the home delivery, but you can go out in a day and go to a supermarket, shitty and great, Whole Foods, or you know, and you can get a really great cup of soup or build your own salad bowl.
Well, we've got fish bowl and places like that.
Yeah, but it's just on the brink of being a little bit. I think there's a meeting point of kind of, you know, not just that, you know, just that little bit step further into, you know, healthy options, home delivered, and that there's that kind of crossover between places like Providore, who deliver restaurant quality meals that you can, and you know, Maryvale at Home obviously do that kind of stuff where you finish it all off at home and it's a great restaurant experience. Then you've got the Hello Fresh where you get everything pre-packaged and portioned. Somewhere in there, I think there is the gap. Yeah, it's almost like, where's the great, I don't know, jar of soup that I can just get delivered? There's a weird transition between convenience, ownership, and restaurant quality all kind of happening out of this COVID situation that I'm really intrigued to see, because I know what I crave. I crave better takeaway meals at night, you know, when I can't be bothered cooking. I crave way better on the road and on the run snack foods. Like why can't I get a cup of salad anywhere? Like a cup. I just want to munch a cup and move on. You know, why is sushi the only person that's done a hand roll?
Yeah.
Like, it's just that I feel like there's a layer of convenience, sustainability and health that is about to boom, you know.
Great, thank you. Great.
Cool.
Thanks.
Well, that,
That's made it up. Not been thinking about it at all.
and a couple of really lovely messages for you. Which we'll
Oh, that's nice.
people at home, just to thank you for your time and your funny and honest
Thank
honesty
you, everyone.
answers.